You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio. That's 250-plus markets across the United States of America and, of course, nationwide over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, Sirius XM style. Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Got a jam-packed show coming your way today. Still hanging around Los Angeles, California, site of yesterday or last night's NBA All-Star festivities. Been a great week out here. Being around the All-Stars, finding out some of the other things is worth finding out about. LeBron James, where he could potentially be leaning towards. Paul George, where he could potentially be leaning towards. What's happening with the Washington Wizards. Kobe Bryant speaking about the Los Angeles Lakers and questioning their free agent pitches. Something to delve into a little bit extra as well. And, of course, the story of LeBron James and Laura Ingraham and what she had to say about him, the Fox News analyst and pundit, commentator, what she had to say about LeBron James and LeBron James responding to that as well. All that and more will be coming up as the show progresses today, right here at the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. But the first thing to get into is what took place last night inside the Staples Center. Team LeBron won a thrilling victory over Team Steph. They won by a point. Ultimately, in the end, Steph Curry gives up the ball to DeMar DeRozan in an uncomfortable spot. They D him up. He launches a shot. He misses, and Team LeBron comes back from a deficit, and they end up winning. Obviously winning $350,000 for their local charity. The loser donates $150,000 to their local charity. But in the end, I liked what I saw yesterday. And it's worth noting that I liked what I saw. I liked what I saw because I saw more effort. Some people wouldn't give it some people would say it was a B or a C plus or whatever. I give the All-Stars an A because I wasn't looking for elite basketball to be played. I'm not looking for something like that in an exhibition game with star-studded talent, like an all-star festivity. I'm not looking for that. What I'm looking for is for guys to step on the court and actually show some effort. Not just have a layup line or a dunk line, but guys actually show up on the court and defend a little bit. Try and block a shot. Try to defend. Try to prevent somebody from getting into the paint. Try to do all of those things. Don't make it as easy as it has been, because the reality is that the All-Star festivity had regressed to such a point that, it was so flagrantly obvious that there was such an absence of effort, it became downright disrespectful. And that's the key thing to be pointed out here. It became downright disrespectful. When you're asking people whether it's other stars, movie stars, rap artists, and all of this other stuff, when you got people pouring their efforts and their money in the NBA All-Star Weekend, particularly the NBA All-Star Game, and the thanks that they receive is such a flagrant absence of effort, that's a problem. And this is one of those days you give LeBron James credit in the world. He deserved the MVP, finished with the game out 29 points. All right? Lillard and DeRozan had 21 apiece for Team Steph. But you give LeBron James all the credit in the world because he came out there running up and down the court all night long. Effort was everywhere. Dunks, passes, rebounds, etc. And that's what you want to see. You want to see somebody that goes out there and cares and does things that you normally wouldn't see. Or even if you did see it to some degree, it's okay. That was the biggest thing to me. And when I looked at it from that perspective, I was very, very happy with All-Star Weekend. I thought the effort was there. It wasn't too much effort because you're not playing for your team. You're not trying to win regular season games or a playoff series or anything like that. But if you could go a little bit hard playing in the summertime, while you're gearing yourself up for a season, why the hell can't you go a little bit hard playing in front of a packed house? And they were reminded of that yesterday or last night. And that's what I appreciate. I really, really do. I like that part of it all. Didn't bother me one bit. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. So I was very, very pleased about that. The slam dunk contest, look, it was good. It wasn't awful. It was good. But was it like some of the contests of years past? No. Everybody talks about Jordan and Dominique or the Spud Webbs or, Vince Carter or Kobe Bryant or Tracy McGrady. I got news for y'all. It wasn't even Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon. It was decent, but Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine did some special stuff in the dunk contest. And I missed them. I missed them bad Saturday night. It would have been nice to see them. 3-point shooting contest, Devin Booker showed up. Lights out in that last round. That's why he won. Klay Thompson, I was hoping he would win it, but it didn't happen. Wasn't meant to be. But the way I look at it, that's just where I'm at with it. And by the way, give some props and some thanks to Klay Thompson because he's competed in the 3-point contest even though he was a member of the All-Star team. So I appreciate him participating in both nights. That's big of him. I liked it. Would have liked to have seen Steph Curry as well. You're considered the best shooter in the world. Why are you not competing in the 3-point shooting contest? What's the matter? Your shoulder's going to get tired? If there's one thing I hold against LeBron James, is that LeBron James has never participated in a slam dunk contest. He's the only athletic, above the rim caliber superstar that I can think of in NBA history who has never participated in a dunk contest. That part is not good. Not at all. What is good is what he had to say in response to Laura Ingraham for Fox News Channel. That was good. Because LeBron James could have sat idly by, said what he had to say in his interview with Kevin Durant, along with Kerry Champion. That would have been nice. He could have left it right there. But once Laura Ingraham told him to shut up and just dribble, LeBron didn't just sit idly by and take that comment. He was asked about it, and he had something to say. And here it is. Listen up.
I get to sit up here and talk about social injustice, equality, and why a woman on a certain network decided to tell me to shut up and dribble. So, thank you, whatever her name is. I don't even know her name, but I appreciate. What is it? Nobody knows. Oh, Tiago says no one knows, and that's perfect because I get to sit up here and talk about what's really important and how I can help change kids, not only in America, but in Brazil and England and Mexico and all over, so thank you.
We will not shut up and dribble. That is something that's very minute in the grand scheme of things of how we live everyday life. And we will continue to be, greater than, anything that will try to, depict us and bring us down. So, at the end of the day, we want to continue the conversation going. And for me here, sitting here as a role model, as a leader, as a father, as a friend, as a husband, and as a son, and many more, I will continue to lend my voice and continue to live my efforts and my, the things to help, the greater cause. So.
That was LeBron James. You'll hear what I have to say about that and so much more in a minute. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. That was Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Straight Talk Wireless. Nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks.
Craving even more of Stephen A?
Him of all people!
For around-the-clock access to the man?
I'm Stephen A!
You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Stephen A. Smith and on Facebook at Stephen A.
Number to call up as always is 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. One of the other things that I noticed yesterday, it was a couple of things that was interesting to me. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook seem to be getting along. I applaud Kevin Durant for acknowledging he may have screwed up their relationship a little bit due to communication or lack thereof. LeBron James and Kyrie were getting along. All-Star weekend, everybody trying to diffuse all of this. First of all, I don't believe it. That's number one. There's always going to be a level of I wouldn't say hostility, because you're men and you move on and situations are what they are and they can't be changed. And if there's anybody that can get over something like that, it's two guys that are millionaires and are highly successful in their chosen professions. The flip side to it, however, is this. I think that it's healthy for the game of basketball to have those hostilities. I don't want to see Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant getting along during the season. After the season doesn't bother me. But I don't mind their hostility showing against each other on the basketball court. I think that's great. I think that's absolutely positively great. That's the bottom line. So I don't have a problem with that at all. And I think that, I don't want to see, with LeBron and Kyrie and everything that happened, who the hell wants to see them hung in and singing Kumbaya now? What does that do for the game of basketball? What does that do for the playoffs to look forward to? What does that do for all of that? That doesn't do anything. I want to see all of that. That's just me. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's the number to call up. Let's go to Jeff in Brooklyn. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hi. How's it going, Stephen A?
I'm all right. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say I appreciate you taking my call, but the main thing I really wanted to talk to you about was the whole issue with LeBron and the Fox News anchor.
Go ahead.
I just feel like I understand your plight. I understand you're a professional and you want to maintain your respect and your level of professionalism about this matter. So I get your position and how you don't want to disrespect or attack this lady, but I don't understand how it's not really highlighted at the fact that her comments were highly racially insensitive.
Because she told Jimmy Kimmel to shut up and make us laugh. She told Robert De Niro to shut up and act. She told the Dixie Chicks to shut up and play music. The black person that she talked about, that is LeBron James and Kevin Durant at that particular moment in time, are not the first people that she told to shut up and do something to.
Understandable. But in a climate that we're in today, how could she not know?
No. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. You asked a question. I answered you directly. You don't like it, so make your statement. But the bottom line is what she did to them, although I found it racially insensitive, because you have to understand and know how that's going to be received. The flip side to it is that when she can come up with a plethora of white individuals in their chosen profession who she told the same exact thing to. In other words, LeBron James does bounce a basketball. So she said, shut up and dribble. Robert De Niro does act. So she said, shut up and act. Jimmy Kimmel is a comedian. So she said, shut up and make us laugh. A musician, the Dixie Chicks, I think it was, or whatever. She said, shut up and play music. What I'm saying is she has plausible deniability as to whether or not it was racial. And I'm saying to you that I understand that. Now, do I think it was racially insensitive? You're damn right I did. I do. And that's what I stated on the show on several occasions this morning. But you got to man up and recognize that when she highlights a bunch of people she has told to shut up and do their jobs, you have to understand that a black athlete isn't the only person she did that to. You have to understand that.
Understandable, very understandable. And I appreciate you for highlighting that for me to understand. But at the same time, it has to be also highlighted that the person that she is in defense of, which is our president, with all due respect, this is the same man that clearly insulted a large population of American citizens by telling women that it's okay to grab them by the you-know-what.
Hold on, wait a minute. That is absolutely true, which is something I've also pointed out. But her response is, and has always been, while she doesn't condone the behavior of the president, she likes the fact that he's an anti-establishment guy, and as a result, that matters to her more than his behavior.
Yeah, see, that tells you right there where our country is.
Well, what do you got to say next, man? The sky is blue?
No.
I mean, who doesn't know that? We all know that.
It doesn't make it right, Stephen A. Just because.
Who said it was right? Who said it was right? Who? Tell me the person that said it was right.
No one.
Who is
no
the
one
person?
said it was right. But that's why it has to be highlighted what she's doing.
Well, let me ask you a question. LeBron has spoken out against it. D. Wade has spoken out against it. Chris Paul has spoken out against it. CNN and MSNBC have spoken out against it. The commissioner has spoken out. The NFL, the NBA players executive director has spoken out about it. Chris Long has spoken out about it. First Take has spoken out about it. All the other shows on all the other networks have spoken up about it. Who the hell else needs to highlight it? Who are we missing, Jeff? Who did we leave out?
No, well, listen, I agree with you. But when I heard Will Kane say that he doesn't believe that what she said was racially insensitive.
That's his belief. Will Kane is a white guy from the South who's a conservative, who doesn't necessarily vibe with everything that conservatives say or do. He's his own independent thinker, or at least he prides himself in being that. But that's how he feels. See, what we have to do is graduate to a point where we have to understand that people feel differently. Let me be very, very clear in what I'm about to say. I am never taken completely aback by the fact that somebody who doesn't happen to be black doesn't have black sensibilities. That's the one thing that annoyed me about the whole Colin Kaepernick situation. Your argument is against what's going on in our country. But you are protesting on a field of play in the NFL and wonder why an NFL owner would have a problem with you. The NFL owner is like, we didn't do this. We didn't do something that should enable you to negatively affect our ratings and our bottom line. We didn't do this. So if you're not protesting us and you're not saying that we did this, why should we be okay with you negatively affecting our bottom line? Now, no matter what we believe on it, we can't deny that that's a valid argument on their part. An owner has a right to make that argument. If you're not protesting me, Jeff, and you don't have a problem with me, and it's the system that you have a problem with, but the platform in which you used to protest me, to protest those things rather, affected my bottom line. And I didn't do this. Why should I not have a problem with you?
Stephen A.
We got to ask that question.
That's a valid question. But at the same time, the Colin Kaepernick situation is even more sensitive because it affects a large population of our community.
Once again, Jeff, how old are you?
I'm 30 years old.
You got to grow up, bro, because you're not hearing me. I'm not disagreeing with your point. I'm saying someone has a right not to pay attention to it if they're not you and they're not affected by you. If I am a white billionaire and I am not subjected to the transgressions or the trials and the tribulations that the black community goes through, chances are I'm not going to have your same sensibilities. You're a 30-year-old black man. Am I right, Jeff?
Yes. Can I ask you one last question?
Hold on. You're a 30-year-old black man, right?
Right.
Well, what if I'm 67 years old and I'm white and I'm a billionaire? Whatever sensibilities I have, if you don't relate to it, should I hold that against you?
So, yes. At the same time.
I should hold that against you? I should hold that against you. If I'm a 67-year-old white man that has no relation to you whatsoever, you're trying to tell me you expect me to share your same sensibilities?
Yes, because we're all human at the end of the day. We all bleed.
Goodbye, Jeff. Goodbye, Jeff. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. I've given Jeff enough time. I'm not going to waste my time with that.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Since Carlton brought up, to some degree, Laura Ingraham and LeBron James, I did a final take on First Take this morning. I'd like you to hear it. Listen to my final take about the Laura Ingraham, LeBron James controversy. Take it away, guys.
Say what you will about Laura Ingraham, but she is not a stupid woman. She's smart, she's educated, and she's very accomplished. So when she tells the world's greatest basketball player to shut up and dribble, then follows that statement up by doubling down on a podcast calling LeBron James' statement about President Trump, quote, barely intelligible, not to mention ungrammatical. Please know Miss Ingram knows exactly what she's doing. Sure, the pursuit of good ratings are a part of it. Catering to Trump's base, which essentially is her base, unquestionably doesn't hurt. But in the end, doesn't it come down to Ingram really telling the rest of us to shut up? If you really think about it, that's the only thing that actually makes sense, y'all. Who doesn't know that LeBron James is the best in the world at what he does? Who doesn't know about his philanthropy through his foundation and beyond? Who doesn't know about his I Promise program that benefits 1,200 at-risk students in his hometown of Akron, Ohio? Or the parents he's helped get GEDs? Or the $41 million earmarked for full-ride scholarships at the University of Akron for Akron public school students who go through the foundation's I Promise program? All of which was reported in today's USA Today. Of course Ingram knows. And guess what? The problem is not even that she appears as if she doesn't care at all about LeBron's accomplishments. The real problem is the depth she was willing to sink to just to make her point. And doesn't that remind us all of somebody we know? Brilliance isn't required to figure out the ramifications of telling an iconic black athlete to shut up and dribble. As Molly rhetorically asked earlier, wouldn't it be the equivalent of telling a woman to shut up and stay in the kitchen? Yes, LeBron has money, but Trump has more. Plus, based on many noted positions, combined with his donations, one could argue he has a background more favorable to Democratic ideals than conservative. Plus, he was a reality TV star. So where was Laura Ingram's proclamation telling President Trump to shut up and go back to The Apprentice? Before he was president, of course. And as for Ingram's words about how no one voted for LeBron, wouldn't it be safe to say that with his background, his sensibilities, his philanthropy, and his 40 million Twitter followers, combined with the notion of him running against Trump, that he'd get, say, 62 million votes? We likely know the answer to that, too, don't we? I firmly believe Miss Ingram knows. So it begs the redundant question. Why would she say specifically what she said, knowing how it would be received, how it would be interpreted, and ultimately how inflamed it would become? It's because she didn't care, didn't give a damn at all. In the end, isn't that the real problem? And that's before we even touch on the racial insensitivity portion involving the matter.
That was my final take on First Take today. First Take airs every weekday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Pacific on ESPN. You know, all of those subjects are dicey, but I always appreciate when the Carltons of the world call in. You know, when Jeff from Brooklyn called in, it wasn't that he was unintelligible or anything like that. It was that it reeked of emotion. You can't legislate what's in people's heart. He's like, why is there not a focus when all we have done is focus on what Laura Ingram said? We got to rise above it somehow, some way.
Attention shoppers, clean up on aisle 14. Clean up on aisle 14. Someone dropped a jar of pickles. Kosher pickles.
Beatboxing at a big box store. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
A red minivan has the lights on in the parking lot.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
A couple of stories I wanted to get into for hour number 2. Number 1 was some NFL item involving the New England Patriots. Devin McCourty, quarterback for the New England Patriots, been there for years, about a couple of Super Bowl championships on his resume. He's qualified. He had this to say about Malcolm Butler, his teammate that was unceremoniously benched by Bill Belichick. He had this to say. He said, quote, "We all knew he wasn't starting all week. That wasn't a secret to the guys on the team." This is according to Devin McCourty, who told the New Jersey Advanced Media. "I get why people are fishing. The guy played 98% of the plays in the regular season. I just hate that for him character-wise going into free agency. You know, all the things that's being said is just not true. As far as I know, and I was there all week, not one time did anything come up It says here, despite McCourty's contention, one Patriots defensive starter reiterated to ESPN's Josina Anderson on Monday that he, quote, definitely didn't know that Butler wasn't going to play in the Super Bowl. The starter and one teammate previously told Anderson on February 5th that they weren't made aware of the Patriots' plan for Butler. Let me tell y'all something. I don't believe Devin McCourty one bit. I think he's lying. Now, let me say this. I don't think there's anything malicious towards Malcolm Butler. I think he's doing it to protect Malcolm Butler. I think he's doing it because he wants Malcolm Butler to get his money. I think he's doing it because he wants Malcolm Butler to go on with his life and prosper in free agency. I think he's looking out for his brother and his teammate, and I don't have a problem with it. But it's not about McCourty. It's about that damn Bill Belichick. And I don't care what anybody says. Let me tell you something. I love and revere Mr. Robert Kraft. Everybody knows that about me. I respect that man. I have a great relationship with him. He's a good man. Okay? And Tom Brady's arguably the GOAT. And Bill Belichick, I've never said an incendiary word about this man. This man is the greatest coach of the modern era. And to me, that cannot be disputed. But what I absolutely positively have a problem with, that I am not going to let go of, is that I firmly believe that Bill Belichick was beyond cruel. I think that what he did is pretty damn hard to forgive. And I think that it's important and it's imperative that somebody say that. If I'm a free agent, I got to raise my eyebrow and think twice before I go and play for Bill Belichick. I really do. I can't sit by and tell you that that's cool. I really, really cannot. I got to tell you that I believe firmly that Malcolm Butler was on that sideline in tears while the national anthem was being played because he didn't find out until around that time that he was not going to be playing. That's the issue here. Now, if you want to get into the minutia of it all, because McCourty's words were precise. Maybe he's not lying about this. He said, quote, we all knew he wasn't starting. Now, if you want to sit there and hold firm to that, that's fine. Don't tell me anyone knew that somebody who played 97.8% of the snaps for New England this year, that played 100% of the defensive snaps against Tennessee in the divisional playoff game, that played 100% of the snaps in the AFC Championship game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who delivered the Super Bowl for the New England Patriots with that interception of Russell Wilson's pass in the Super Bowl. Don't tell me that guy, Malcolm Butler, no one knew he wasn't going to play one single defensive snap. That's utterly ridiculous. It's a lie. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And to me, for Bill Belichick to do something so undeniably cruel, I don't want to hear that's the Patriots' way. I understand it's the same Bill Belichick that cut a dude the day before the Super Bowl. He did that once before. But that's the lone case in which he did that. And he let the guy go. Meaning that there had to be something really, really wrong with that guy. He let him go. Cut him from the team. That's entirely different than having a guy that plays damn near every snap for you all season long. And then you pick Super Bowl Sunday to tell him he's not going to play. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I never thought the day would come when I'd say this, but I can't understand how anybody would want to play for Bill Belichick after that. If I were Tom Brady, I would look at Bill Belichick like, really? I mean, damn, coach, really? That you'd have to be that cruel? That's just cruel. Don't tell me he gave you the best, Max Kellerman and others. Strictly a football decision. He gave them the best chance to win. Really? I can understand that if it's just a matter of him starting. Eric Rowe went out there and got burned. And oh, by the way, acknowledging he didn't play that bad in the Super Bowl. I'm not trying to dog Derrick Rose, but Derrick Rose that was a bad day for him. And even then, Derrick Rose went out and said, I had no idea that Malcolm Butler wasn't going to be playing. Yes, he did. Robert Kraft, the owner, said he had no idea. And Bill Belichick usually communicates with him. He had no idea that Malcolm Butler was going to play. Or was not going to play. Come on. I watched the post-game coverage with my man Christian Fourier and others after the Patriots lost the Super Bowl. They didn't know he was going to play. And everybody lamented Bill Belichick's decision. Even Teddy Bruschi came on First Take, a 3-time Super Bowl champion with the Patriots, and acknowledged he had a problem with that decision by Bill Belichick. It was cruel. It's the kind of cruelty that should make any player think twice about playing for Bill Belichick. So I can bust my tail for you for years. I could be a prospective free agent, listening and watching you lowball me while you go out and give Stephon Gilmore 5 years, $65 million. I can still come back and play 97.8% of the snaps in a regular season, 100% of the snaps in the playoffs, and then find out right before the Super Bowl you ain't going to play me. Really? I don't care what anybody said. This ain't about Bill Belichick's coaching acumen. This is about how cruel this man can be. That's what this is about. I don't know if I can play for the man. I really, really don't. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. I mean, think about that. It doesn't get any bigger than the Super Bowl. I don't care how many times you've been there. It doesn't get any bigger than the Super Bowl. And for somebody to indiscriminately, so pragmatically, so nonchalantly take that moment away from you after you worked that hard to get to that point and produce for him all year long. And I'm not saying Malcolm Butler had the greatest year because he didn't, but damn it, they won 12 to 13 games and he was on the field 97.8% of the times. And then he can't play one defensive snap in the Super Bowl? Ladies and gentlemen, why should anybody want to play for a coach that would do that? I really, really mean that.
Craving even more of Stephen A?
Him of all people.
For around-the-clock access to the man?
I'm Stephen A.
You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Stephen A. Smith and on Facebook at Stephen A.
Before I get back to the calls, one other item that I wanted to bring up earlier, Kobe Bryant speaking about the Los Angeles Lakers and recruiting people to come and play for the Los Angeles Lakers. Well, Kobe Bryant had something to say about that you all should find very interesting. Listen to this.
You shouldn't need recruiting to come here, right? It takes a special person to want to play for this franchise and take the pressure that comes along with playing for this franchise. The pressure of following Magic's footsteps and myself and like the dynasty that we've had. It takes a special person to do that. And if I need to convince you to come here to carry that legacy forward, you ain't the one to be here.
He's got a point. Listen, the times in the past, I'll never forget when Dwight Howard was hedging back and forth about wanting to stay here and was turned off at the aloof approach and mentality Kobe had towards recruiting him. Kobe's attitude was simple. I'm a 5-time champion. This is arguably the greatest franchise in the history of sports. We win. And we need to convince you. Not only did I beat you in the finals, you've never won a championship. And you got to be convinced. That was Kobe's position. And to elaborate on it further, I know we live in a different age and a different time or what have you, but the palm trees, the sunshine, the beautiful weather, and all of that stuff that comes with it, that makes anybody want to live here. The flip side, or not the flip side, but the other side to it, to augment that point, is the fact that the pressure that he alluded to. When you put on a purple and gold and you are a star, there's an obligation to deliver. There's an obligation to wear that purple and gold and deliver, to be in that purple and gold and be about championships. You ain't coming here just to have fun. You ain't coming here just to relax in the sunshine. You coming here to win. And if your definition of winning is getting max dollars and getting to the playoffs and being recognized as an all-star, that ain't enough in Los Angeles. Sadly, that would be more than enough in New York. The way the Knicks have looked. But wouldn't be nearly enough in Los Angeles for the Lakers. The thing I think we can't ignore and we have to pay attention to, however, is the Lakers having to compete with Jerry West and the Clippers. Because let me tell y'all something right now. Jerry West is coming. Y'all sit up there and act like Jerry West don't have a plan if y'all want to. Jerry West, right here in Los Angeles, stole Shaquille O'Neal from the Orlando Magic. Stole the most dominant force of our lifetime. Y'all can act like y'all don't know if you want to. And prior to getting Shaquille O'Neal, do you remember when Jerry West and the Lakers were actually respectable to the point where it brought him to tears? Because devoid of stars, they still had Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones and Eldon Campbell and cats like that, and was making noise and playing valiantly. Can't ignore that. Don't sleep on Jerry West, I'm telling you. Don't sleep on Jerry West. I'm just saying. Ray in Jersey, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hi, Stephen A. I want to get back to that thing with Laura Ingraham.
Sure.
I'm not a big fan of hers, but I saw the show in which she rebutted. She called out Jimmy Kimmel, told him to shut up and tell jokes. She told other actors, shut up and act. And listen, people go to I understand you want to, talk out against social injustice, but people turn to sports and entertainment to get away from that stuff. So when LeBron's done playing, go into politics. Go do your thing. But people want to just go and watch sports or watch late
Stop
night.
right there. Stop right there, Ray. Stop right there, because I got a question for you, okay?
Yeah.
I understand your point. It's respected. Please don't get me wrong. I don't even disagree with you to some point. I get where you're coming from. I can understand how folks feel that way. But then why is it that we hold athletes so accountable with everything else? We got to be a role model. You got to help us raise our kids right. You got to present yourself properly. You got to do X, Y, and Z that extends far beyond the court or the field of play. See, where I veer left from your comments is that we act like we allow these guys to live in a vacuum. We do not. What we do is we pull them away from the comforts of sports and require so much more of them when it comes to being contributors to our society. Because of generations on the come up, the behavioral issues, the accountability factor we want them to have, the hard work we want them to put forth, et cetera, et cetera. So we are quick to bring athletes into the mix then. But when they say stuff that makes some people uncomfortable, not all, but when they make some people uncomfortable, then all of a sudden it's a problem and we don't want to hear from them. Where's the consistency when it comes to that, Ray?
Well, listen, I don't believe in that. I believe that kids, their teachers, their parents should be the ones that are schooling them on all this stuff.
That's fair, but Ray, I get that point, and I appreciate you telling me what you believe. But what I'm trying to say is, Ray, you're smart enough to know that even though you believe that, there's a lot of people who don't, and those are the people that have basically brought their heavy hands down upon millionaire athletes who they believe are lucky, not individuals who worked hard and earned their way, but they believe are lucky and privileged to be making the money that they're making, playing a game. Therefore, you owe everything else to us in order to ensure uplifting our society and generations to come with how you conduct yourself, the issues you're willing to tackle, how you behave, what's the right way to go about doing things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So even though you might feel differently, you're smart enough to know that's not reality. The reality is what I explained. And what I explained, since that's reality, can you not then understand how a professional athlete would feel the need to extend himself beyond the court or field of play to take the positions that he takes in order to make that very contribution that people have asked him to make?
Okay. Listen, I agree with you, yes. The only thing is everything today is like identical, like racist, and I do not believe that woman was going down a racial path at all.
Fair enough.
I mean, she's called out other people,
right,
and all different.
Did you hear what I had to say though? But did you hear what I had to say about that subject, Ray?
Absolutely.
Right, because what I said was I'm not calling her racist by any stretch of the imagination, nor am I saying it was her intent. What I'm saying is ultimately because of the climate that we're living in, she is too accomplished and too smart not to know how that would be interpreted. And she didn't seem to care. And that's the problem. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I think it's because of her calling out other people. I like to give her the benefit of the doubt because she has been an equal opportunity, you know.
That's fair. That's fair. She did call out Jimmy Kimmel. She did call out Robert De Niro. She did call out the Dixie Chicks and others. You're absolutely right about that, Ray. She is consistent in that position. That is true.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.